Hi, in today's video we're going to talk about 5 things that pet parents sometimes get wrong about dog training. Hi friends, if you're new here, my name's Terry Hayward, professional dog trainer and behavior consultant. The first mistake that I see many pet parents make is not using a marker. A marker is a communication tool. It might be a clicker, it might be a verbal marker, like the word yes, it might be a visual marker, like a thumbs up, or, for example, you may have seen folks working with marine mammals and using a whistle. That's another kind of a marker. So a marker is the thing that tells the animal, yes, that thing that you just did, that earned you access to something that you find reinforcing. So we mark and then we reinforce. Without it, we're really at a loss for a great valuable option for communicating well with our dogs. An example of where you might use a marker is, let's say that you are working on your dog offering eye contact. So when my dog offers eye contact, I would use my marker. That was an example of her looking at me marking with my visual marker and then reinforcing. I'll show you what that looks like again with a verbal marker. Yes, mark, and then reinforce. In this instance, she looked at me, I marked with my verbal marker, yes, and then I reinforced that behavior. Behaviors that are reinforced will be repeated. At the beginning, we can start by just marking offered behavior. So any behavior that we like or that the dog offers that we want to see again, we can mark and reinforce. An important point is that every time we mark, we need to reinforce. Otherwise, your marker stops becoming something that's valuable to your animal. And in order to have that really clear communication, you want to make sure that you mark, yes, and then reinforce. It's 2 separate behaviors, so note that I don't have a treat in my hand ahead of time. I mark, yes. In this case, I just like that she's sitting here calmly, and then I reinforce. So it's mark and then reinforce. The second mistake that I sometimes see is that folks don't realize that every interaction is training, because training equals education plus communication. So we're always training something. It might be inadvertently training things that we don't want to see again, which is why it's important to understand and recognize that whenever you're with your dog, you're training, you're teaching something. So you want to guide and navigate properly so that you're teaching and reinforcing those behaviors that you want to see more of. An example of this might be if your dog is lying down quietly. So you can mark, yes, and reinforce that behavior. It might seem like the dog is doing nothing, but they're not. They're behaving in a way that we'd like to see more of. They're calmly lying down. So if your dog is lying on their bed, you might decide to mark, yes, and reinforce that behavior. Again, remember that behaviors that are reinforced will be repeated. So if you see a behavior that you like, you can mark it and reinforce it. The third issue that I see is a lot of times folks have an expectation to be able to cue a behavior and get a response that they can mark and reinforce. But when we start off, we just want to start with what I call sort of low-hanging fruit, the easy stuff. That means we want to mark and reinforce offered behavior. So any behavior that you like and you would like to see again is something that you can mark and reinforce. For example, my dog is just sitting here calmly. I like that. I'd like to see it again. So I'm going to mark, yes, and reinforce that behavior. Let's say that my dog just decides, without me calling their name, to give me eye contact. Yes, I'm gonna mark and reinforce that behavior. That's not to say that later on I can't teach her to orient to her name, but again, that's a harder training piece. So at the beginning, we just want to start communicating. We want to start making sure that we have a high rate of reinforcement. We want to start marking and reinforcing easy things that we like, so that our dog understands, oh, I should do that more often. And that helps to build upon our positive relationship with our dog as well. The fourth problem has to do with expectations. We're looking for too hard a behavior, too soon that we're asking for it, too fast, meaning we're not quite there yet, we're not ready, or too much all at the same time. With training, there are 3 Ds: distance, duration, and distraction. And we always want to start in the easiest version of each of those. So instead of starting training outside in the middle of a park with lots of people, dogs, skateboards, etc. going around and on around us, we would want to start our training at home in the living room where it's quiet and calm. We also, like I mentioned before, want to start with easy offered behaviors. And then slowly we would begin to start to label and add a cue to behaviors that are frequently offered already. In addition, we only raise one criteria at a time. So if we're going to add more distance to something, meaning let's say I want to be able to ask my dog to lie down when they're a little bit further away from me, I'm not going to also do that in a more busy location, because we only want to raise, again, one thing more challenging at a time. That way we set everybody up for success. As I just mentioned in number 4, we want to set everybody up for success. So number 5 is not consulting a professional before you have problems. Some of my favorite clients are folks that reach out before they even bring the dog home, when they're thinking about adopting a dog, or when the dog is arriving within the week. Because anytime we can be proactive instead of reactive, we can get ahead of problems before they entrench and establish themselves. Anytime we see a problem behavior, we want to try to switch gears before that behavior gets repeated over and over and builds an unfortunate, long, strong reinforcement history for the unwanted behavior. Oftentimes, too, folks may just not quite understand the best way to go about teaching an alternative or incompatible behavior, using management strategies to set everybody up for success so that we don't continue to have an unwanted behavior rehearsed over and over. And again, just having really clean and clear mechanics and timing, yes, so that we reinforce appropriately and effectively for behaviors that we want to see repeated. So if you have any questions, or if you have any issues, if you'd like some help, I'll leave the link below for my online consults, and thanks for watching.